What's up, guys and gals and all my non-binary pals? Wow, what a rhyme.
Fucker!
I have no idea if I made that up or if I heard it somewhere and it just became a part of my vernacular somehow, so do with that what you will. And sorry for the last 2 weeks, the lack of videos. I was doing like some soul searching or whatever. No, but seriously, the nice little break was nice.
Extraordinary.
The nice little break was nice. Very good English, Jason. It's giving me very... The water park is a park
where people play in water.
kind of vibes. The little break was nice, but hopefully I'll be back on schedule. And today, I'm amped on... And today, I'm not amped on caffeine. I'm amped on Johnson & Johnson, baby. I just got vaccinated an hour ago. I literally sat down, looked over, saw the needle was fucking 4.5 inches long, and I was like, I'm gonna stare at that brick wall while you do this. Also, while I was sitting there, the same fucking interaction that goes down in every doctor's office happened. I go, I don't like needles. And they look at my arm, they're like, and I'm like, every time I visit the doctors. And you know what? I only get tattoos because they're a very unique kind of pain that I somewhat enjoy. Maybe I should stop oversharing on the internet right now. All right, moving on. So I just had like one of the craziest experiences of my life last week. And then again this week, like literally life-changing. Like, I am no longer the same person I used to be. You know what I mean? So if you follow me on Instagram, shameless self-plug, go follow me on Instagram. I post a lot of cool content on there that I work really hard on, actually. If you do follow me, you're probably like, Jason, and the fuck did you up and decide to fly to Hawaii? And to that, I'll answer. I bought tickets when I was a little drunk, just a little bit, and they were non-refundable. All jokes aside, I just wanted to go visit my friend Dalton and kind of like explore Hawaii with her and her pals because they go to school there. I convinced Dalton to go skydiving with me while I was there. It actually took like zero convincing whatsoever. I literally just said, hey, let's go skydiving, and she said, okay. I expected there to be a little bit of a tug of war, but I don't know, I guess not. Also, quick intermission, really quick, I promise. I know I do a lot of like side cutaway stories in my story times because I'm just ADHD as fuck. I was gonna film this skydiving story time last week, but then I ended up going skydiving again. So I'm gonna share both of those stories, but the second one will just kind of be like the highlights and super quick because it's basically the same thing. Okay, I know my intros are always really long and completely unrelated to the video, so I'm gonna try to channel in and really hone in this ADHD. Just focus. My fan is moving too fast right now and I can't focus.
Oh my
Cool.
god.
So I live in Honolulu, so that's where I was staying, and we had to make it all the way up to North Shore, which is like
Boy, if you don't
50-minute drive, I think. What is that and why is it getting closer? False alarm, it was the Amazon Prime truck. So we had to make the trip, we hopped in the rental, it was me, Dalton, her friends, Maria and Jill. The drive was absolutely beautiful, it was breathtaking. Quick side note, promise, again. I've been trying to go to Hawaii for like 5, almost 6 years now, and every single time people have bailed, and I've had to beg the airlines to give me my money back. I was like, not this time, drunk me wanted me to go, so I'm gonna go. We took the long route around the island because Dalton really wanted me to see like the mountains and all their glory and like the ridges and stuff, and it was really, really beautiful. So we're on our way, whipping up to the skydiving place in North Shore, and we were jamming to throwback songs because, you know, we were trying to calm our nerves. We didn't know how the day was really gonna unfold, how skydiving was gonna unfold, because we're not that into origami. Wow, where did the sun go? Literally where? We're gonna continue. The sun will come out when she decides to come out. I honestly really wasn't that nervous most of the day. I just had like butterflies kind of up until we were like 15 minutes away. Then I was shitting bricks. So I started spiraling. My thought process was kind of like, okay, I'm in a foreign state, not only across the country, across the Pacific Ocean.
Like, I'm not trying to be mean. Like, are you dumb?
Like, medically speaking.
On an island, about to jump out of a plane. What am I doing? Like, why am I even here? I snapped myself out of it by queuing up some Lady Gaga because that's just what I needed in that moment. So we're like 2 minutes away from the airport at this point, and we start seeing just like bodies falling from the sky. Sounds really fucking morbid without any context. Like skydivers with their parachutes open, like falling from the sky. And like when I tell you there were easily 10 parachutes opening and just like going to the ground, it was kind of insane, kind of beautiful at the same time. For some reason, this calmed my nerves. I was like, oh sick, the parachutes worked. Now I know they work. So we pull up to the airport, and then me and Dalton get out and we walk in. Maria and Jill weren't going with us, so they just ended up taking the rental car to like a food place and like a beach, I think, and just had a time of their lives by themselves without us as we plummeted to our deaths. So me and Dalton kind of just like awkwardly shuffle in. It's one of those situations where you're like in a new environment for the first time. You don't really know what to like do with your bodies, so you just kind of stand there like Summer Walker. So we're like filling out the paperwork and stuff, giving them our IDs, like nothing special, and then they show us. That video didn't calm me down at all. It was really intense for no reason. It was basically, in summary, the best way I can put it was, hey, skydiving, it's a little dangerous. You may get hurt, you may die. You're probably gonna die. You most certainly will die. So be ready to die.
May cause or contribute to your injury or death. You risk serious injury or even death. Design or manufacturing defects, malfunction of the parachute system, or improper, careless, negligent, accept the risk of serious injury or death.
And like me and Dalton and then the group that we were with were just kind of sitting there like, and like I get it, you have to disclose that information so you're not like liable or whatever if something does happen, but like a little less aggressive, tone it down a little bit, buddy. So from there they weigh you for like safety purposes. It's not some intervention or anything. On my paperwork I just kind of guessed my weight, and then when I got on the scale I ended up being lighter than I said I was, so I was like, oh, shit, so you think I'm skinny? And then we get our wristbands, and originally I was supposed to go at 1 and Dalton was supposed to go at 1:30 because there were no like 2-person group paired time slots available for the day we were trying to go. And so we were like, all right, that sucks, but whatever, we can still go together and then wait for whoever is coming last, you know, whatever. But thankfully, they ended up grouping us together, which thank God, I can't imagine I've done that by myself. Me and Dalton both had to pee, but I was like, no, we can't pee because what if they call our names and then they're waiting on us and they're mad at us? And I was like, no, Jason, go pee, because if I pee mid-air, it's gonna fly up and hit me in the face. Again, I was spiraling, all right? So we pee, we wait around for a little bit for someone to call our name, and then our instructor calls our name and then suits us up. My instructor ended up have grown. How do I word
Are you
this?
dumb?
It turns out that my instructor grew up in the neighboring county, like 10 minutes down the road, which is super crazy. I'm all the way across the country, across an ocean in Hawaii, and this man lived 10 minutes from me. What the fuck? And for some reason that really calmed my nerves because I was like, what are the odds? This is gonna be a great day. So you get suited up and they kind of give you like the rundown for how everything's gonna go. They're like, all right, when we jump, like hold on, head back on his shoulder, and then as you're falling, you like try to kick your butt, like bend your legs. And I was like, okay, cool, sick. Like, I'm totally gonna forget all this as I'm plummeting to the earth, but I appreciate the help. At this point, I wasn't really nervous. We were just kind of like hanging out on the airfield. And like throughout all this, you're still seeing people like falling from the sky with like their parachutes open. So I was like, okay, they made it. I'm gonna make it. And as we were waiting, when the videographer called us over to interview us, and then after the whole interview, we basically get called and we're walking to the plane. And let me tell you about this plane. The door you jump out of is just like a thin little plexiglass garage style door. And then as I get in the plane, I see duct tape. And I was like, Hot Mess Express, got it. This plane is like completely gutted, right? All that's in there is like the pilot seat. And then it's just like 2 benches. Like imagine a bench press at the bench. Oh my God. A bench press at the gym, just longer. And there's 2 of them, and like everyone sits down like straddling the bench facing the back of the plane. And so like everyone's sitting like directly in front of one another on these benches. So I was like in between my instructor's legs, and then I was like in the front of the line, the conga line thing situation going on. I can't do this today. So yeah, if this was the door, I was like sitting here, and then like someone's mom was sitting here closer to the door, so she was going first. And when the mom sits down, she like turns around and she's like, has like a moment of realization. She's like, shit, am I going first? And then her instructor was like, hell yes you are. And she was like, just petrified. So we take off. Keep in mind, I hate flying. Every second of it, I hate it. But for some reason, I didn't really mind this plane ride, even though it was like pretty bumpy. I think it was just like in my head, I was like, oh, if something goes wrong, we can just jump out. PEMDAS, right? So we're taking off, and it's like on one side, you have the beautiful, massive volcanic mountains, and then literally 100 yards away, beautiful crystal clear water. It's like crazy. And after a little while, I just kept thinking to myself, okay, this is how high we're gonna get. 10 minutes would pass, and I would be like, okay, this is how high we're gonna get. And then 5 more minutes would pass, and I'd be like, no, this is how high we're gonna get. Still be climbing. I was sitting there like, damn, can we just fucking throw our bodies out of this plane already? Oh, and like for 60% of the takeoff, like the videographers are just like, they're the people who jump and like record you jumping. That makes sense. They're like falling below you. I don't know how to describe it. They're basically the skydivers who film you skydiving. They're literally just like sitting. The door is open. The plexiglass skinny door is open, and they're just like swinging their feet, diddly bob, and having the time of their life. And I was just sitting there like strapped to my instructor like, y'all back the fuck away from the edge of the plane, please. Like y'all are just teasing death. Like I was bewildered, dude. And so you know you're about to jump because your instructor starts like strapping himself to you and like tightening the fuck out of his strap, so you're like up on him basically, which is good because it made me feel safe. Like the tightness and feeling trapped almost made me feel safe. And then like over the course of the next couple minutes, I could like feel him like checking and checking over and over and over again. So I was like, all right. I was like, this dude's got me, like I'll be fine. And Dalton is in the back of the plane, or I guess it would be the front. She's behind me. And since I'm so tightly strapped to this guy and it's such a small plane, I couldn't even like turn my head to like look at her. And now the light turns green in the plane, and the door comes whipping open, and then that like mom that was sitting next to me and her instructor like shimmy on over to the door, and she was just yelling like, oh my god, repeatedly, kind of like the Kermit video.
Oh my god! Oh jeez, oh my god!
I wish I said that like jokingly, but it's a spot on depiction of how she sounded. And when I tell you, she was there and then like just gone. Like literally it just felt like she was there and then she was gone. Made no sense. My brain couldn't even process anything before I had to go myself. Like my instructor is like beeline to the door, and I was like, okay, damn, okay, fine. And so I'm just literally leaning out, like just leaning. My feet are in the plane, but my torso, ground. There's nothing under me but ground. And I remember just kind of like glancing up really quickly and just seeing like the clouds way below us. And I was like, this has got to be more than 12,000 feet. Like I'm mortified. I'm pissing from my balls right now. I think the way you exit the plane depends on the place you go to, because we were just kind of like squatting and then like leaped out. Well, my instructor leaped, I got fucking shoved out of the plane. They do like a little out in out. They like lean out and then lean back in and then like yeet the fuck out of you out of that plane. Once we were falling, I felt like no fear. It was just like tunnel vision. It doesn't really feel like you're falling. It just kind of feels like you're floating. I don't really know how to describe it. Like the ground isn't getting any bigger. It's like really weird to describe. It's like drugs. You gotta do it to understand what it feels like. Kidding. I don't do drugs. Well, if I'm kidding, then call me James Charles. Wow, I've been recording for 35 minutes, that's insane. But yeah, after just completely dissociating for like 5 to 10 seconds, I like became present again, and I was just having like the time of my life. And the videographer is like falling below you, like looking straight up at you. So I was sitting there like trying to smile and look like I'm having fun when I'm falling 120 miles an hour toward the ground, towards the earth, trying to be like, oh, this is great. Ooh. And then my instructor like did this thing with his arms where he would like put one in and then we would spin one way really, really fast and then we would spin the other way really, really fast. And I was like, buddy, this is really cool and all, but I'm gonna Ralph if you keep doing that. And then the videographer like waved off to us, turned to the ground, and then just like dove, like fucking Iron Man. Flew away. It was the coolest thing in the world. And like at this point your mouth is so dry, I was just sitting there like, and then they pulled the parachute, which, by the way, if you're a guy, it's very painful. At that point, you're like, oh my god, the chute opened. Like, I'm gonna live, you know? And so my instructor, John, I should just call him by his name, John, we were just like chatting as we're floating 7,000 feet in the air. Like literally small talk 7,000 feet in the air. Okay, I brought my chair over because it was just too bright of a spot on my head in the bed. Head in the bed. Really good play on words, Jason. So we were just like having small talk, and then all of a sudden, I swear, we were just like floating, and all of a sudden we just dove. And then you're just like plummeting. And then they do like a little swoop thingamabob. It was, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just really cool. He basically just like did that a bunch. And it's so weird. You just continue having like small talk with this stranger, even though you just shared a very intimate life moment with them. You cheated death together, but you're asking me about what my major is in school. Plus like you're on such an adrenaline high that I was just like sitting there smiling, overlooking the landscape, just like super grateful to be there and super grateful to do this in Hawaii. Are you kidding? Like, honestly, I swear time stood still from the time I leapt out of the plane to the time my feet touched the ground again. And then at the end of the parachute ride, like when we were nearing the ground, I was like, oh, sick, like we're just gonna touch the grass and be cool from there. No, he decides to do a dive at the last fucking second. So I was like getting ready to get my feet up and land all smooth, and then he just goes, and then we're diving to the ground again. At the last second, he pulls up and he's like, feet up, feet up, feet up. And I'm like, I'm gonna die. It was really intense. And then we just landed and they like unstrap you and you're like free, and it's just like this, like I'm alive moment. And then I saw like Dalton coming down with like her feet out and landing, and I was like, wow, kind of forgot you're here too. And then they like take you in to see like your photos and your videos to decide if you want to purchase it or not, which I did for this video. So like if you want to share it, please do it, because skydiving photo and video packages are not cheap. And after the dive, we just kind of went beach hopping for the rest of the day on North Shore, and it was like a fever dream. Like, you just had this insane life experience in like this crazy character arc, but you're expected to go on with your day like nothing happened. Like, I just fell to the earth out of a plane. What do I do with myself from this point on? But overall, 10 out of 10, I'm addicted, I love it, and I forced my Virginia friends to come with me. Again, don't really know how I convinced them to do it, but I did. And I mean, by convinced, I meant I pushed it non-stop, and then I just paid for everyone's security deposit so no one could back out anyway. I'm gonna do less from you. So everyone had to go, basically. So like basically the whole same process happens. It's really nothing special. They did call us the day before though, and they were like,
hey, we know you're supposed to jump at like 9 a.m., but we're expecting some bad weather around then. Do you mind jumping at 7 a.m.?
I was like, yeah, you know, 10 seconds, the people I'm going with. And they were like,
okay, cool.
And so what I told them was, I was like, hey, they say the weather is questionable later in the day. Can we go at 7 a.m.? And of course, everyone was like, if the weather is bad, like I don't want to go. Totally understand. So I was like, yeah, they just say around like 11 a.m. They just want to give us the earlier slot so we have like a bigger time window. Complete lie. I just really wanted to go. They were talking about like wind, not like storms or anything crazy like that. And so we were like, oh yeah, that's cool, whatever, we'll go at 7 a.m. We had to wake up at 6 a.m. for this shit. It wasn't even like early enough to be a sunrise skydive. That would have been really cool and worth it, but like we just got up at the ass crack of dawn. So the same check-in process happens, and then we're getting like suited up. And my friend Teresa goes, I'm really scared right now, but I know I can't bail on this because it costs too much money. And I could tell Teresa and Gabby were getting a little nervous and scared, and the instructor was making jokes about like dying, and I was like, okay, I get it. Totally see where you're coming from, but it's unnecessary in this moment. Talking about death right now is not appealing when you're a first-time skydiver. Make those jokes with your skydiving buddies who have like 5,000 dives under their belt, you know? And when I met my instructor, I was like, hey, like I went a week ago, and he was like, oh, did you do like any cool tricks or like flips or anything? And I was like, no, and he said, okay, cool, we're gonna do some backflips. And I was like, okay, I'm down. So I was excited. I was not nervous this time. I was a little nervous. I was really nervous, not gonna lie. But I was more excited. So we walk in and we get in this plane. It's a lot nicer than the last plane. Like, it's not gutted and has duct tape on the walls. And then these 4 solo, like, macho skydiver dudes walk in behind us and are, like, sitting in the little area where you, like, jump from. They're pretty big guys. Just keep that in mind. And we take off. And this ride was so fucking bumpy. Like, imagine my low-ass sedan on a gravel road bumpy, trying to drive through the Grand Canyon bumpy. And I was getting nervous because my instructor was like, yeah, this will probably be the last, like, jump because the weather's getting pretty bad. I don't know if we can fly the plane up here again. Why would you tell me that? Why would you tell me that? What is the reason? And then toward, like, the end of the climb, the pilot just goes, like, more vertical than normal, I feel like. And in my head, I was like, backflip. My instructor said we're doing backflips. That means we're not doing the backflip. The plane is doing the fucking backflip. We're flipping the fucking plane. And I was just like freaking out. I was like, we're gonna do a backflip in this plane. What the fuck? It was just, he was trying to do a little hill to get everyone's blood flowing, and like all the guys were laughing, and I could just tell me, Gabby, Teresa, and Daniel were just sitting there like, haha. We're having a great time. And so, again, the light turns green, the door opens, the 4 like macho dudes like jump out, and as they're jumping one by one, the plane is like rocking from their body weight leaving the plane. I was like, Jesus, take the Prindle.
You mean the Prindle?
So this time I was sitting where the mom was sitting in my first skydive, and my friend Gabby was sitting where I was sitting in my first skydive. So in theory, I should have gone first, but they were like, nah, she's gonna go first. And poor girl, because she specifically said she wanted to see at least one person go before her, one of us go before her. All she wanted. Her last wish. Could have been her last wish. And I'm sitting next to the door so I can like see her like a foot away from me basically. And it's just like pure fear on her face, and then all of a sudden, gone. vanishes into thin air. She's out of the plane. Like Thanos just snapped his fingers and she was gone. Then I get moved to the front, and this time we're sitting, we're not like squatting. Well, okay, actually my instructor is sitting. I'm dangling over the edge. I have this much of my butt on the edge of the plane. I'm literally just floating. And then I feel him do the little out, and then I was like, oh fuck. And I felt him go in, and I was like, oh man. And then he threw us out. And so as we're leaving the plane, I felt my instructor like lean back. I was like, what's going on? I was like, where's the fucking ground? And we were, I guess, doing the backflip he talked about. But I was like, bro, all I see is blue. And I was like weirdly more present this time. And I was just like kind of having the time of my life. It was weird. I was having a lot more fun than the first time. And then once everyone jumped out of the plane, it just started nosediving to the ground. And the instructor was like, oh, look. And I was like, bitch, are they crashing? What is going on? Why? Land normally. Why are you doing that? But yeah, we landed. Everyone was really happy they did it. They were really happy I pushed it. And I was like, I told you guys, like life-changing. Like you have to do it. Everyone has to do it at least once in their life. But yeah, those are my 2 skydiving stories so far. I'm aiming to start my accelerated freefall course in May, since it's my birth month. So I'll be able to skydive by myself, not attached to anyone. I don't need no man. My man has 2 jobs. Which would be insane. It would be really fun. I can't wait. I hope everything works out. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for being patient with me because I didn't upload for 2 weeks. My bad. But I'm back and we'll be uploading normally, so yeah. Alright, whatever. I'm gonna go. Bye. Wow, it got so dark. This fucking lighting, I can't do it anymore.